guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Parvati. So this video is about my top 3 favorite novella recommendations. These are some of the very famous books and many of you have already heard about it. They're very cheap in price and are easy to read. So for those who don't know what a novella is a short novel, a narrative prose fiction that is shorter than that of most novels and longer than that of most short stories. So novella as a literary genre has its origin in Italian literature. So I think it's basically about 100 to 200 pages. So let's move on to the first book. So the first book that I have here is Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. So this was published in the year 1915 and it was cited as one of the seminal works of fiction of 20th century literature. As you know, Franz Kafka is known for his uniquely dark and disorienting writing style. So, and the essence of his writing mainly comes from his own work itself, his own life itself, not his own work. So, let's come to the book. This is a book about a traveling salesman named Grigor Samsa, who woke from his sleep, found himself transformed into, or metamorphosed, as the title of the book says, it's metamorphosis. So metamorphosed into a horrible giant insect-like creature. You know, the novella gives no clarity or explanation on what causes transformation. Even Grigor has no idea of it. So basically, Grigor, being the breadwinner of the family, and everybody in his family look up to, wonders how he'll be able to provide for them in the present physical state. And he thinks about the consequences he has to face and how that is going to affect his career. His whole family is being startled by this change and they find him burdensome. And the story is being centered around this transformation. So it didn't make any sense to me at first. I found it so strange and unusual. But moving on, we realized that the story is greatly influenced by the practicality of modern day life and how one's life revolves around family ties. It gives you a clear-cut picture of how people's character change with situations. There are sections in this book that talks about how his tiresome work consumes him, and which is very, very relatable to the schedule of modern day man. So and one of the advantage that I found about this book is, and that's also something that helped me understand the inner meaning of the plot, and that is its introduction and preface part, and also the synopsis, because it gives you a lot of information regarding Kafka's life and how the situations that influenced his literary contributions. So that's also very interesting. And as given as a synopsis, there's a book that concerns itself about alienation, modern life, and how one's life revolves around family ties, and about the lack of human connections. So anyway, I'm not going to reveal much about the book. I like the fact that how this book gives you hope, a nonsensical hope. Does that make any sense? So that's all about Metamorphosis. I like this book. I like this book so much. So I highly recommend it. Let's move on to the next one. The next book that we have here is Animal Farm by George Orwell. So it was published in the year 1945. Again, it's by George Orwell, again another 20th century's literary influencer. He is known as one of the best chronicler of 20th century's English culture. So mainly he uses his writing to convey his political convictions or to defend them. Well, his main focus is within the genres of dystopian satire. So with Animal Farm being a satire, so it's one of his best works. It's an allegory. Allegory is something that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning. So in that sense, Animal Farm is a political allegory about revolution and power. The storyline goes like this. Animals on a manor farm, being maltreated by their owner Mr. Jones, decided to expel him and take over the farm, and named it Animal Farm. Interesting, right? And very unique also. Well, it's a beautiful story of animal rebellion. Since pigs were considered as cleverest of animals, they always took the leadership, and under two pigs named Snowball and Napoleon, they took over the control of the farm and decided to run the farm under the propaganda that all animals are equal and named it animalism. Well, it clearly portrays ideal communism. So later, Napoleon uses Snowball as a scapegoat and take over the control of the farm. And as the story goes on, you will understand how it turns out. I'm not going to reveal anything about it. Anyway, Animal Farm is satire on Russian Revolution. In this story, George Orwell, he used it as a platform to criticize communism, especially the how communism was implemented in the Soviet Union. He says about how communism starts about helping people and then letting them voice out their opinions. But as one starts gaining more power, corruption of ideals starts occurring and turning communism into capitalism, which is very clear from the story that how the propaganda changes from all animals are equal to all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Well, that's it. So Napoleon is the main antagonist in the novel. He represents Joseph Stalin, and Joseph Stalin is he's a Soviet politician, and he ruled Soviet Union for more than 2 decades. Well, the manor farm itself is a model of Russia. The characters are real life characters, and the events in the story are a foresight into the events of Russian Revolution and its aftermath. So from that itself, we can clear it's basically a satire on Russian Revolution. So it's a very delightful story, but it has a bitter inner meaning. It's an amazing book. I loved when animals were addressed as comrades and how that showed the unity for a cause. I love this book. I highly recommend it. Don't miss this book, guys. It's a beautiful legendary story of animal rebellion. Let's move on to the next one. So the next book that I'm going to give you is a very special one and my personal favorite. So there is nothing more merrier than a Christmas book on a Christmas month. So I give you A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Well, Dickens doesn't need any introduction. You may know him by Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, David Copperfield, which has a reflection of his own life itself, his own childhood. I love that story. A Tale of Two Cities, and many more. I'm not getting all the names. He's the greatest novelist of Victorian period, and he has created some of the world's well-known fictional characters. I love his works. So this book, A Christmas Carol, was published in the year, was originally published in the year, I think it's 1843, and it's about wealthy, cold-hearted miser Ebenezer Scrooge and his redemption into a new man as he gets visited by spirits. Scrooge also has an employee named Bob Cratchit, who is very poor and has a big family to provide for. So the story goes like this. On a dark Christmas Eve, Scrooge's nephew Fred invites him to dine with them on the Christmas day, but Scrooge rudely refuses, and he also rudely turns away two gentlemen who came to seek donation for the poor. So at the same night, Scrooge gets visited by Jacob Marley's ghost. So Jacob Marley is Scrooge's former business partner who died 7 years ago. So Marley's ghost is condemned to wander the earth with a heavy chain that he had to carry forever, which symbolizes all the sins that he had done when he was alive. So Marley also led a greedy life, which is very much relatable to the Scrooge's present life now. So Marley came to warn Scrooge about his fate and the chains he had to carry after his death, unless he decides to change his ways. So and also Marley says that Scrooge will be haunted by three spirits: the ghost of Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And as Marley said, Scrooge encounters with these spirits, with these ghosts, and they provide him with life-changing visions as the story progresses. So you have to go through the story to see the magic. Well, this story makes us to think twice about our past context and, wants us to make amends in present and future behavior. It provides you a wholehearted Christmas spirit and provides you with the true meaning of the season. It sort of evokes kindness, empathy, helping mentality, humanity, and all those things. This story has been adapted many times into stage plays, films, operas, and it's also a reflection into the life of Victorian London and how people joyfully and spiritually holds Christmas to their heart despite all the economic class differences. In the story, you can see the Christmas, the festival, through family gatherings, Christmas feasts, decorations, dancing, games, and more than all these physical entities, it sort of evokes a Christmas spirit. You have to read it, guys. It's an amazing ghost story of Christmas. Don't miss it out on this season, guys. Well, comment down below if you have read these books. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit thumbs up and smash that subscribe button. Wishing you all a happier, merrier Christmas.